All right, welcome everybody. It's time for our first day of the Jönköping Major, and we're here on the B stream today. Not as glamorous.
It's cozy.
It's cozy. Not as glamorous as what we see out of Mandy and Dev. They're on over on the A stream. If you were watching any of the pre-show, you would have seen them walk through exactly what we're looking at today. We're going to be running for probably about 10-ish hours or so, going through quite a bevy of matches. Starting off first, of course, with CYCLOPS and Black Dragons here on this stream. And again, you can tune into both the A stream and the B stream at whatever time you would like.
That you can. And the big thing about CYCLOPS and Black Dragons is quite the aggressive opening match here on the B stream, because both of these teams, of course, they have that playstyle preference, but I'm curious to see how they're going to match up against one another. Black Dragons right now, they love to play around the objective, try and get that diffuser down on their attacking side, whereas CYCLOPS, they like running towards their enemy no matter what side they're on, so these could really clash against one another.
CYCLOPS as a team come in as the #1 seed out of APAC North. Black Dragons coming in 4th out of BR6 and also 4th through the Copa Elite 6, which is referred to as CES, and you might see that on your screen a couple times. This Black Dragons roster, at its core, has never competed at an international event before. So expectations for them are going to vary. If you're a fan of the team, expectations for them are probably going to be quite high because you want them to excel. But for everybody else, when a team comes in with very limited international experience, expectations are usually quite low because they don't have that same pedigree that, say, a team like CYCLOPS does, which is a bit interesting to say.
Yeah.
Because while CYCLOPS has been at so many international events, escaping the group stages has proven to be impossible so far. Do you think that there's a realistic shot, looking at the landscape of this group, Nick, that CYCLOPS emerges one of the top 2 teams?
Absolutely. I think CYCLOPS is almost like the limit test of the teams in their group, because if you can beat CYCLOPS, odds are that you will make it out of groups yourself. But if CYCLOPS, however, comes out the victor, they of course will get top 2. And CYCLOPS, while you said they don't have the most success, so to speak, in terms of like getting out of groups, they have kept the same roster for a very long period, which means they should have a slight advantage as they can keep working on these foundations.
Yeah, this core has been together for years at this point. Their best showing, and the one where it actually looked like they might escape the groups, was 2 years ago in Mexico. And, well, I guess technically a year and a half in Mexico at this point, but time is a flat circle. Where they had that crazy matchup, if you recall, against Team 1, where it was a tiebreaker that we'd never seen before in esports that determined whether it was Team 1 that would go on to make it into the playoffs or CYCLOPS for the first time ever. Now, obviously, CYCLOPS ended up on the wrong side of that. Team 1 went on to win the entire event and become major champions. But since then, the run from CAG has not been very promising. They've missed a couple international events and then not made it out of groups. In fact, CAG has been one of the first teams to go home at most of the events that we have seen. Now, they're in a group with M&M and Sonics. Those 2 teams are going to be competing on the other stream. Later today, CYCLOPS will be going up against SQ. Against this Black Dragons team, when you look at the way that Black Dragons play, there's obviously a lot less tape on them. CAG are the more storied team. There's a lot more to look at. But the one thing about CYCLOPS is that they have started to play a more conventional style. It's been noted a number of times by the talent over broadcasting on the APAC North. What is the key to success for Black Dragons to topple CYCLOPS, and what is the key to success for CYCLOPS to overcome a foe that they might not be the most familiar with?
For Black Dragons, it's all about preparation, right? Because CYCLOPS' biggest strength, even though they are playing a more conventional style of Rainbow Six Siege right now, is still that their aggression and out-of-nowhere plays can catch you off guard if you have not studied them enough. And when CYCLOPS first entered the international stage, teams were not prepared for it. But as we started seeing just how big of a threat that CYCLOPS can be, teams were saying, okay, these guys are the real deal, this is how they play, we're going to prepare for that play style, and therefore catch them and punish them. I assume that Black Dragons have done their due diligence and respect CYCLOPS enough to have studied them. And for the side of CYCLOPS, it all comes down to playing with one another and, of course, keeping that discipline, especially when you have the man advantage. APAC as a region, one of their biggest weaknesses is that they might get the opening kill and play 5 versus 4, but they can't stay strong throughout that mid-round and they lose their advantage.
Now, this is a best of 1. These teams are going to be running the gamut because they're going to be playing matches back-to-back over the next 3 days with the goal of making it to the playoffs on Friday. You might be wondering, where are we going to go? We're actually going to go to where we filmed the North American League, which is Los Angeles, which happens to be the location of the Bank map in Rainbow Six. Now, when you look at these two teams, is there one in particular that really stands out just in terms of play style? Let's ignore their map, their strengths. Let's ignore their map pool. In terms of play style, which team do you think suits a Bank matchup better?
I have to say Black Dragons, because again, it's about fundamentals and playing the objective, getting that diffuser down, playing for the post plant. If you can plant successfully on Bank, you will win 85% of the time on the attacking side. So I really think that Black Dragons fundamentals, they favor this more, but at the same time, it's a very big and open map. If CYCLOPS can play really aggressive, but yet effective around the perimeters of the map on their defensive side, that could be a problem for Black Dragons if they can't figure out a way into the bomb side.
Now, just in terms of what you just said, thinking that Black Dragons might be the favored team here on this map, simply pulling the map stats from stage number 3, which is the stage that just ran through the fall season, that is what essentially decided the teams who make it to this event. CYCLOPS' best map in terms of rounds won is Bank. So if you look at their win rate, this is technically one of CYCLOPS' best maps historically. When you look at the map pool of Black Dragons coming in from Stage 3 and the Copa Elite 6, this is a decent map for Black Dragons. It's kind of middle of the road in regards to their round win rate. So just on paper alone, the team that has more success traditionally on Bank is CYCLOPS. Now, obviously, that's in APAC North.
Yeah.
That's not against international competition. And you can throw out arguments as to whether or not the teams that Black Dragons are playing on Bank against in BR6 and in South America and Latin America might be better Bank teams, and that's what skews these numbers. But the way that you simply slice it is that CAG should be very comfortable with this map.
Absolutely.
More comfortable than Black Dragons. Is it enough for the matchup? That's something that's decided in the server. But both of these teams are going to come into this map having good to great results on Bank, and I don't think either team really emerges with a loss here just in terms of the map veto system.
No. If one of the teams had never played Bank in Stage 3, then there's a cause for concern, or perhaps they've been hiding it for a long time. And you mentioned earlier how Black Dragons, they've been doing okay domestically, getting 4th place, etc. But just to kind of set the tone, Black Dragons beat both FaZe and Team Liquid domestically in Brazil throughout Stage 3, which means they have beaten very legitimate teams to get here. And when you play in LATAM, you play more games than any other region, basically. So the experience from Black Dragons and their players right now should definitely be in a position where they can comfortably go into most maps, because the map pool from LATAM overall is one of the largest in Rainbow Six Siege esports history.
Well, I mean, when you look at simply the body of work that these LATAM teams put in, if you factor BR6, if you factor interregional play and CES, the teams that are coming out of Brazil that make it to the Copa Elite 6 are going to be playing more matches than what we see out of these APAC teams. For example, if you look at just APAC North alone, CYCLOPS played 7 games. Black Dragons in just BR6, not even including CES, which is a best-of-3 system, Black Dragons played 9. So already you've got 2 more maps in game day scenarios, because scrims are not always a proper way to gain your footing. You know, you actually want to get those game day reps in.
Yeah.
In terms of that, Black Dragons have more game day reps on these maps against stiff competition in BR6, and then there's the Copa Elite 6 as well, where they go through the winner's bracket, then there's the lower bracket run. So Black Dragons are going to end up playing a lot more Rainbow Six over the last 3 months than we're going to see out of an APAC North team, and that includes the fact that CAG played in that Japanese Invitational that just happened, what was it, a month ago, a couple weeks ago, which is great practice. But CAG had a disappointing finish there as well. So going in on home soil, the Japanese, invitational that they have, to not have the result that they wanted doesn't exactly set the best precedent for this match. But as much as we want to engage in idle speculation, you want to see the goods, and we don't want to keep you from that. Our very first matchup here on the B stream, coming from Group A. The #1 team in APAC North of CYCLOPS, squaring off against the #4 team from Brazil. 62% of you thinking that it's CAG who will come out on top. They're going to start on attack. Black Dragons on defense, and immediately a target ban from Black Dragons to take out a Monty, an operator that CAG knows and loves quite well.
Yeah, not a surprise. I mean, almost every single team will ban the Monty against Cyclops because it's such an annoyance to play against. And it's just better safe than sorry type scenario. The Ying, second attacker to follow along. These are all very stable and common bans so far.
To be fair to Black Dragons, as much as this is a target ban towards Cyclops, Monty is actually Black Dragon's second most banned attacking operator. So when Black Dragons have an opportunity to ban out an op, they go with Thatcher or they go with Monty. And this is for Stage 3 and Copa Elite 6. We're not even talking about international competition here. So Black Dragons don't like playing against a Monty, period. It stands to reason that against a team that knows Monty, likes to run these operators like Monty, these shield operators, these annoying operators that get under your skin, operators like Jackal, like Ying, etc. Getting rid of them is not an unwise idea. Black Dragons also banned out Kaid, by the way, and it's a Ying and a Zami ban from Cyclops. Relatively stable stuff. I don't see anything whatsoever outside of the norm here. In fact, the most banned operator against Black Dragons is Ying, so it's not a shocker that Cyclops would do that. Just from the bans alone, things looking very similar between these two teams, but it shows that both of them have done their due diligence against their opponents, and they're both very similar to this map, with the operator bans starting out on relatively even footing.
Yeah, and it tells the story of just how competitive Rainbow Six Siege is right now, and has been the last year and a half or so, where there really aren't any freebies anymore throughout the group stage. Every single game matters so much, whether you're an APAC team or a Latin team, EU or North America. You need to try and put in 100% every single time. The Kaid ban, it makes the basement bomb site more defendable, and the Asami ban, it makes that top floor attack a little bit easier. So both teams are going to benefit in different ways, but when Black Dragon's on the defensive side first, I feel like the Kaid ban is going to benefit them more. They can get a couple rounds on the board, make basement more preferable, and kind of force Cyclops into this roam clear and still have to deal with hatches afterwards, which now they can be opened up.
You know, long gone are the days where we would see teams ban out a hard breacher every single time on bank. Why? Because you don't want to go into a basement defense, which was widely considered to be the most favorable site at the time. With all of the hard breachers up. It would make defending it impossible. But as we've seen changes to the meta, and as we've seen this game evolve, teams don't play as static on that bottom floor anymore, especially teams that like to play very aggressive on their roams. One of the teams that often gets talked about for that is W7M. They're here at this event. They almost play offense on defense. If you look at this setup right now from Black Dragons, how many bodies do you actually see on this bomb site?
Well, there's basically all 5 in the basement. It's pretty straightforward. It's rather passive. They're playing server stairs with 2 members, sure. They get the opening kill by Seto. Nice opening to Black Ray. And Cyclops, there's no refract, there's no trade.
He went in all on his lonesome, and there was a Black Eye cam situated right now inside a square. Giving Ion a good line of sight. These are Rooney gates, preventing the hard breach from going down without eating through some of the utilities. Cyclops had Black Ray swing on in. Black Ray, by the way, the standout performer in APAC North, the highest rated out of APAC North through this last stage. He comes in with some pretty nice accolades to his name. He's the highest rating in APAC North, the highest plus-minus out of APAC North, and the tied for highest kills with 77 kills through those 7 matches that were played, which means that he's averaging 1.1 kills a match. That is very good. You and I have spoken at length about how challenging it can be to guarantee yourself a kill that evens out the amount of games that you play. The fact that he's breaking 10 kills a match is exceptional when you figure that most matchups are probably going to be a little bit less than 12 rounds.
No, you're right, but it's going to be a rough start for him, and now we see the execute 20 seconds left. CAG, they got to push right now.
Anaton is dropped. Through all the money in front of him, sees the tracers go, cannot connect as he will tussle with Ion. Suzushi sucked down by Nade, still patrolling in this area. Anaton has swung around as a soft wall. Cyclops trailing, they don't have very much time. First kill comes in from Cyclops, but that'll be all she wrote. as it's Gator left alive alone. Black Dragon still with 4 players upright, and a relatively easy defense for them to start off here on Bank.
The biggest sort of like question mark I put next to CYCLOPS' name preparing for this event was discipline. Because usually when they get the advantage, they kind of throw it away, they lose it in that mid-round. In this very opening round, it was that they didn't really gain it at any given point. They had a free map clear, there was no real roamers from the side of Black Dragons, hatches were all reinforced. They took a rather long time to figure that out and clear the map fully, over 1 minute and 30 seconds to really get inside of that first floor. And then it was Black Ray just peeking the server stairs, completely isolated, with no backup, no drones, no really any pieces of utility, and he died early, and then we're just picking up the pieces, not really exactly sure what to do or where to go, and it's a messy round after that. 4 members alive for Black Dragons. Only person to find a kill that round was Alligator, and now we're gonna go to open area instead. So CYCLOPS, we need to go together as a unit and try and find an area of the map that we want to focus on first.
3 bomb sites that you're gonna see most commonly here on Bank. Our open area where we see Black Dragons defending now. Lockers, CCTV down below, which is where we just saw Black Dragons defend. And the top floor of CEO right there on your screen. Pretend that you see 2 bomb chassis there waiting for the attackers to breach the defenses. Now, when you look at this bomb site in particular, it's very common for the defenders to actively control the top floor because it gives the attackers a greater hurdle to actually get to the bomb site. It's just another step that the attackers need to take. CAG, their first focus with this lineup that they bring is going to be to flush out this top floor, do the discovery work that's needed, clear out both the basement, which seems to be done by CYCLOPS already in about 35 seconds. That's quite good timing. But there also wasn't any opposition down there. So your bigger hurdle is that top floor. We've seen teams go for broke and just decide, to hell with it. Let's just attack the bomb site itself. CYCLOPS are definitely a team that can be unpredictable in that way. But so far it looks quite routine, which has been something for CAG that seems to be a very deliberate effort. They've been trying to play less about their meta, less about the APAC meta, and more centered around these European, North American, Brazilian style play.
They are playing conventional in how they're approaching the map right now, but their operator lineup is not. They got both the Capital and the Glass, and no top floor control has been established so far. Also, no real vertical destruction as all the breaching charges have been spent on castle barricades, so this could actually be a into bottom square through that double door with smoke grenades and maybe just try and execute.
I mean, it's entirely possible. They could overrun Bassetto, but you're going to come head first into an Alda. Smoke's being used. You cannot dilly-dally. You don't want to waste them at all. Anaton is in, and just like that, he'll be able to see through an easy pick. 2 kills from CAG to start things off. Anaton hits the deck. Black Ray with case in hand, being watched by CYCLOPS next to him. Press takes down Anaton. Black Dragons have their very first kill of this round. Looking for more. Patience could be rewarded here, as Perez still in this position. Anticipating somebody from CAG to pop up. It will not be found. Working with Nade. Side by side. CAG with diffuser down are quite a ways away. Suzu worried about a push from the bottom, even though they're Imor sitting at blue watching. His focus needs to be elsewhere. Black Ray still in the same position. Pops up and gets 2 picks. It's Patoxy. Sliver of HP. And not a lot of time left to go. CYCLOPS looking for an easy lockout for this round. Just pad the stats. 3 more to be found, but the timer now will give the round to CYCLOPS. An anticlimactic end for Black Dragons, as it's Suzu to finish things off, not allowing the timer to be the one to decide the fate of this round. As Black Dragons losing out on their second defense, CYCLOPS finally getting on the board after 3 minutes of trailing.
And it's such a simple attack, right? But it's unconventional enough to the point where you can't really prepare for it unless it's been done before in recent times. Because normally, as you mentioned, you go top floor as an attacker. You do the vertical play, you take map control, you breach the walls, the hatches, and then you go for an execute. But they only took the basement and walked in through the back alley door, and then it was just 2 smoke grenades and the Capital smoke to follow up afterwards that allowed them the entry point to get that initial kill into Maestro, and then you can open up the walls with feet/crouch holes and hold those deep lines of sight all the way back from server stairs. And it worked so well because it was so simple, and Black Dragons didn't really have any operators on the bombs that they can deal with this, right? There wasn't the Warden in Bassetto's position who was the Maestro, and there wasn't the smoke on the board to throw out those toxic babes to stall out for time. The only real piece of utility was a single Banshee that was put quite far forward that Glass could just shoot that immediately. And that was Aniton, who is now on the Flores instead on this top floor bomb site attack. Black Dragons, they're changing things up because of that lack of success in that open area bomb site, and you might as well try and see what kind of playstyle CYCLOPS wants to play right now. So by going through various bomb sites, you can get an idea if that was a one-off on open area, or if they have these kind of pocket picks for various attacks that you might need to prepare for mentally.
It was something that you talked about as we watched the entry from CYCLOPS take shape on that first floor of Square Stairs. If the defenders do not have a suitable amount of reinforcements, and I mean this in terms of bodies, not physical reinforcements that go on the walls, if there aren't enough players from the defenders watching that portion of open area, time and time again, we have seen teams gone 6 the double castle barricade, push in, get the diffuser down behind the counter in break room, exactly as CYCLOPS did it. And it was like clockwork.
Yeah.
They did exactly what teams in every region have done when they're attacking on this open area site. And it was CYCLOPS playing again to the strengths of the attackers on this bomb site, playing into the fact they know they don't have to worry about Nizami. There's not going to be any of those Kiba barriers providing an additional layer of defense. There might be an Evil Eye cam up from Maestro, but you take out the Maestro, he's going to be useless without his cams other than calling. You've got smokes on CYCLOPS' side. Isolate the only player, march in, get the diffuser down. Black Dragons still had 4 players left when the diffuser started to go down. The second player died very shortly after, and suddenly it's a scramble with 8 players still alive in the server and the clock running against you. An excellent and very advantageous position for CAG to be in. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to find the same success here in round number 3. Nick, as they lose Suzu, as Patoxy guns him down. CYCLOPS staring down the wrong side of a numbers disadvantage while trying to attack this top floor bomb site.
CYCLOPS fishing right now. No one's really inside the building besides Ayagators on the bomb site itself. It's on the window repellers and the skylight, so he might find some value here with the Dokkan phone call. 1 to go. That's smoke off the board.
Oh, big play from Ayagator, walking in and taking down 2 from Black Dragons. They answer back. They will have their revenge. Perez, well, he finds a kill, as does Nade. These two working together. Gatorada and Ayagator, the last 2 alive. A showdown. 40 seconds left, and patience from both of these teams. Great stats right now from Ayagator, by the way. 4 kills, but his first death at the hands of Perez. Gatorada in a 1v2. And Bullet Tracers will give away the position of 1. Can he isolate? He can, but he thinks a little bit too much. And it's a shutdown from Black Dragons, closing out the round in excellent form. A seesaw of a match as Black Dragons have now regained the lead and will head to what could be a return to the bottom floor bomb site as Black Dragons have gone through the first 3-round cycle.
Now, if you're Black Dragons, you have to think for yourself, how exactly is CYCLOPS going to be attacking in these rounds, right? Because we just saw in round number 3 that round number 2, that the open area was 5 people on one side of the map for CYCLOPS. Next following round that we just saw on CEO top floor, it's 5 people spread across very different areas, right? 1 member of CAG on window repel, 1 person was inside the bomb site, 1 person was the roof and the skylight, and the 4th member was inside of stock room. So Black Dragons, they need information to work with to make these decisions knowingly. I like that. That's why they're bringing out the IQ. They can now get information like they did previously on their basement defense, and they can make an aggressive swing off that, or at the very least have exact and very accurate information to the whereabouts of CYCLOPS. On the other side, on the attacking scenario here, we see a more, I want to say more aggressive. We see Amaro getting a Tiger repicked into a Finca. That's to sustain, heal up your members, and of course take gunfights with more confidence rather. So for example, Blackberry can swing that server stairs with more support, and we see the Bog with secondary heartbeat gadgets and the Twitch as well. So CYCLOPS, they have many different ways to deal with utility right now, and they got 2 different kinds of heart breach. They can deal with both a, first floor attack at the hatches, they can go for a server push as well. They have so many different ways they can break this apart, but time is where they went wrong last time, right? And we see now already in the first 25 seconds, Blackberry has taken full top floor control, opening up the hatches, and once they drone out that open area where no members are roaming from Black Dragons, they can start opening everything up super quickly.
Use time as the culprit for Cyclops falling short back in round number 1. But how does that take go if Black Ray wins that first engagement on blue stairs? It was a very haphazard execute from Cyclops, not expecting the Valk cams up. There was an IQ that was trotted out by Cyclops just to deal with those pesky electronics that can get into these spots. That
he's got the shotgun.
Wait, no, he doesn't lose this one again.
He got the shotgun. He can just swing it. Finger boost, you go.
I mean, he's on the cam, and he's going to get swung. Oh, and he loses it to Basetto. It is a bit humorous that Cyclops want to bring the IQ, and yet the 2 times when she would be most valuable, she's absent from their attacker lineup. Black Dragons in a repeat of round number 1. They get the very first pick, stopping the same player and the top performer of APAC North in Black Ray from being able to do anything at all.
And it shuts down the majority of Cyclops' adaptation here was that you want to boost up with the finger, get the shotgun and sledge, you can take the gunfight rather comfortably, but then, well, you just say no. But then we see Gatorada inside the service with help from Anitun, but Basetto was still on the staircase with the shotgun and hand gets shot down as well. It's a 3v3 with a minute on the clock.
Oh, keeping things close, keeping things exciting. This is the CAG way. Heart palpitations for their fans, as this team can just never make things look simple. Beauty of having these adrenal surges is that you can top up all of the HPs of the attackers who've suffered some chip damage. And believe you me, there was some chip damage that had been done to Cyclops. 45 seconds, perfect time for smoke canisters to go out. Nade still has 2 of them left, which means that with the remaining time on the clock, you're going to be able to cover most of the time left with these toxic babes. As you can see, Nade has a lineup, just sitting behind the crates, and there it goes. There might be 5 seconds or so of this window where they won't have access to the smoke. They have to dislodge him. Black Dragons waiting, anticipating this push. But again, still just being boxed out. And look at the damage that's being done to Anitun. And suddenly Black Dragons knocks them all down. Cyclops' House of Cards collapses. 2 for 2 on this bomb site for Black Dragons. They won't be able to come back downstairs. They got themselves a pretty nice nest egg that they're building up. They cannot lose this first half here on Bank, as Black Dragons have secured 3 of the 6 rounds.
Yep. I mean, Cyclops there might have miscounted the Toxic Babes because they pushed him with 16 seconds left right as that 3rd Toxic Babe was tossed out. So either they said, okay, try and go deep, try and avoid that smoke canister, or they perhaps thought the 3rd one was already spent and that there wouldn't be another one coming. Ion did have that C4 prepped in his hands as well to follow up after the Toxic Babe itself. But eventually you funnel through, you get shot down by both Gunfire and Toxic Babe at the same time. Too much damage going out, even with that heal. For the chip damage on the Finca. And now things are really starting to change for Cyclops, because look on the left-hand side of your screen, 4 attacker repicks. Although Buck into Buck technically doesn't count. But an Ossa being shown here instead. Remember last time this bomb site was attacked by Cyclops, it was Anitun on the glass. And now it's Anitun on the Ossa. So it's very clear to us that Anitun is the sort of key player on the attacking side to use his flexibility on these operators to enable his team to find that objective play. And the support so far has been a different approach from the last one. There's no smoke grenades on the board outside of Anitun, so we're not going to go for that glass play. We have more soft destruction on the Sophia, for example, to deny any kind of utility and try and keep Anitun alive as much as possible, as he cannot be the first one in until they execute because his gadget is needed.
This is not the start that Cyclops wanted. Again, if you didn't tune in as we started, this is statistically the map upon which Cyclops wins the most rounds out of their entire map pool. Not that they are in an unwinnable position.
No.
But operator bans being pretty static, Cyclops being a good attacking team on a favorable attacking map. Usually, you would get more than a single round so far. You're not going to have a good start to round number 5. Perez at the top of the stairs, taking down Iagator. Anitun had the Talon Shield out. The Osa taking up space, working as a pseudo-Monty, but unable to do much with it. Unsheaths their weapon, and down goes Perez, but not before we had seen Gatorada go down as well. That was the Dokkaebi, who managed to get off one of the logic bombs before dying. Similar to the last round, though, they'll keep it close. CAG gets back onto the board with 2 kills, effectively, in a row. They've still got plenty of utility. The Heart Breacher, the lone Heart Breacher of CAG is still up. But I like the adaptation from Black Dragons. They did not put all of their eggs in one basket, aka inside of that staff room. They are now controlling far more of the map. There are a lot more layers for CYCLOPS to have to slice and dice through, and it has already resulted in a better position for BD. At this time, on the last attempt on this bomb site, CYCLOPS had already got the diffuser down.
That's true. That's very true. And Anton, the thing is, he's still alive, and so is CYCLOPS with that heartbeat. So they're in a great position with Blackbeard finding another kill onto Patoxy. That further enhances that advantage now in a 3 versus 2 with 45 seconds left.
The only bomb site where CYCLOPS has had an advantage in terms of numbers was this one before. It's the lone bomb site that we saw CAG win. Black Dragons certainly have their work cut out for them. Banshee by the door, Bassetto with a single toxic canister left. Ion a little bit farther back at the top of blue stairs, being hounded by drones as they get as much information for CAG, but they know they've been able to isolate one of these players. That leaves Bassetto as the lone player on site, and Ion will need to return back. Harassment from CYCLOPS in the form of the Osa with the shield out, and now putting that shield down, it's Anaton on that same operator to get the diffuser planted. Ion has been able to pull off some miraculous clutches in the past, but not a lot of information and not a lot of life leads to not a lot of hope. And that's it for Black Dragons on this round. 2 for 2 for CYCLOPS on this open area bomb site. They will get, at minimum, 2 rounds. 1 more to go. Black Dragons cannot go back downstairs to that bottom floor. They're probably going to go back up top. It seems like they've locked it in very quickly. Why not? It's a bomb site that you won, and you won seemingly quite well back in round number 3.
Yeah. The only worrying part for me for CYCLOPS right now is that it already lies on Anaton's shoulders. In the first round victory that they got in the first open air attack, it was him on the glass leading the charge. On the second open air attack that we just saw, it was him leading the charge on the Osa. He walked in through lobby with the talent shield in his hand, not baiting his teammate per se, but things were very safe for him. His teammate walked behind him. He got shot down very early on, but Anaton, he picked up the slack. He found 2 kills and the injury towards the bottom side, covered the plant and got it down. And then, of course, walked in with the talent shield to bait that second member of Black Dragons for an easy kill as well. So really good work being done right now from CYCLOPS. It just all kind of lies on one player where you kind of want to spread that out more if possible. The key operator for this round is going to be the same as the first open area attack. It's going to be Glass plus CYCLOPS on the Capital. That is how they're going to pair these operators, right? You get Osa and you get Soft Breach, or you get the Glass and you get the secondary set of smokes and the fire from Capital, so you have enough utility to kind of cycle through. Because if you only have one set of smokes, well, that's your entire go, your entire execute, which can easily be stopped or slowed down. But Patoxy, from the side of Black Dragons, has brought out the Warden, so they're ready for this. They have the right answers. Paris, also on the dock, can heal his team members if anybody gets close to dying. It all comes down to positioning and decision-making throughout this round. Right now, Black Dragons, every single round so far on the defense, have played rather passive, near the bomb site, not taking any risks really. So CYCLOPS are struggling to find these openings because they're not being given to them.
You have to make your openings as well, and CYCLOPS have not really been able to do that to the extent that they want, Nick. Black Dragons have sat back and looked quite pretty. If you look at the statistics on Bank, it does not have a defined bias towards the defenders or the attackers. It is a relatively even match last that we saw. Obviously, when you come into a new meta or you come into international competition, you can throw a lot of those statistics away because inter-regional matchups are obviously going to play out very differently. Certain regions are very good at attacking, certain regions are very good at defending, certain regions, like APAC in particular, tend to play a style of Rainbow Six that differs so wildly from what we see in the rest of the world. There are operators like Finka, for example, that she was just absent everywhere but APAC prior to her being so strong. So you have to kind of take it with a pinch of salt. Whew. Speaking of salt, Patoxy, maybe a little unhappy about that pixel angle that was held by Gatorada. He thought he had the read around the pillar, didn't quite have it. CAG do something that they've only done a single time so far, and that's get the very first kill.
Yep. There's more to come. Anderton with the smoke grenades can do some damage on Bassetto. The second most important member is the smoke, and he's next in line.
Bassetto has been a rock for this team. His stats not looking very good so far in these 5 rounds. Coverage from Anderton, but he gets out-dueled by the MP5 in the hands of Perez. And it was a diffuser from Suzu that looked like it was going down, but instead takes matters into his own hands. We heard him talk about that smoke. Well, he didn't like that. Perez, again, putting in huge work, and suddenly the advantage that Cyclops had is all but gone. Black Dragons in a 3v2.
Oh,
There goes Black Ray, a pop-up. Perez, 10 kills to his name. A quad is available, but he can't quite control the recoil. Gatorada, last man standing for CAG, sidearm in hand. This is a perilously hard spot to be in. Black Dragons just need to find a single pick, and they have won this first half 4-2, and they'll do that. It's a quad for Perez to happen as well, breaking 11 kills through 6 rounds. BD skating their way through the first half.
and it's looking good for them. I mean, in that last round, they're playing much more aggressive, not letting Cyclops get too comfortable on the bomb side, which you should never allow as a defender, but that's exactly what happened last time, even though BD also won that one. So I like that. Paris himself with the 4 kills, swung each and every single one of those gunfights. He wasn't letting Cyclops get any real map control. But the numbers for this is, sure, Black Dragons, they get 4 rounds on defense. But statistically, that's also where they are a stronger team on bank if you look at domestic play. So we can almost argue that numbers-wise, they're expected to get 3 or 4 defending rounds. The real question now comes, are their attacks as good as their defenses were, or is CAG going to be able to hold the ground against them with how they play their defensive side, which I imagine will be quite different than what Black Dragons did.
Well, just right now, looking at the lineup, absent from Cyclops' attacks on this bottom floor bomb site was an IQ, and that seemed to cause him the greatest amount of issue. The Valkyrie that was brought by Black Dragons single-handedly derailed the entry from Cyclops twice in a row, same position both times. Black Ray tried to take blue stairs. There was a Valkyrie camera watching him, lost the engagement both times, same position. Second time, trades out the L85 to bring a shotgun on Sledge, which is such a risky gamble.
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, certainly this will pay off. It does not. I like that Black Dragons has learned from it. You can see on Cyclops' side of things, they have a Valkyrie. They know the power of the Black Eye cams to give intel in staff area, in open area, towards that square stair. You can even be selfish and use those cams for roamers, for yourself, off-site if you want to hold the top floor. Lots of applications here for the Valkyrie. Ion is already determining where they are to give information to Black Dragons. This was something that Cyclops never did. Additionally, it didn't end up coming to pass, but Patoxy was hovering the Nook, who has such a strong position on this bomb site because you've got that entire garage to play with, and you can do serious damage while the rest of your team clears out blue and attacks more directly towards that lockers and CCTV component of this map.
No, you're right. And to make matters worse, Suzu C is bringing the Echo, which again, the IQ also counts. And look at that. It's an easy kill of Ion off the wall.
And you know why that happened?
Why?
Because Gator was standing there for a moment on cam. And when you're on your cam as a defender, IQ can see you. So if you're standing, roaming off-site, watching a Black Eye cam or watching a Mozzie drone that you've gotten because of the pests for whatever reason, IQ can see you and say, hey, look, somebody's on their phone. Shoot through the soft wall. It's an easy first pick. Again for Black Dragons, who are dominating Cyclops right now at finding these opening picks.
Yeah, and they're just taking their time to build the advantage, whereas Cyclops going a little bit faster through the map, a little bit more carelessly. But as I say that, Black Ray find Paris, who's being a little bit careless of his own in that main stairs area, and now you gotta do that damage control. Did someone from Cyclops run top floor? Are we expecting a flank? It was checked.
I mean, this is huge, right? You've got Perez right now as the best player from Black Dragons by a country mile. Spoiler alert for the other match right now. Solotov is doing the same thing. He was 11-1 in the M&M Sonics match occurring on the A stream. So we've got 2 very hot performers in action at the moment. Nade has also fallen just a couple seconds ago for Black Dragons. Bassetto in, despite hitting a breadcrumb trail of goo mines. He manages to best Gatorada in that engagement, and we found ourselves back in this even footing between these teams. But while just feet away from Anaton, Black Dragons goes to work. A bit of negligence because there is one hiding among us. And this could be great capitalization. There it is. Anaton pops up. An effortless kill onto Ion, but he's got the attention of the rest of Black Dragons. And like that, he has control of Diffuser too, leaving Patoxy in the middle of the bomb site, but empty-handed. He'll have an exit kill onto Black Ray, which is solely for posterity, because Cyclops take their very first defense.
And this was the question that we just asked ourselves: how will Black Dragons deal with the difference in playstyle from how they play defense to how Cyclops does it? Because look at that first opening defense from them. A basement from Black Dragons is 5 members on the bomb site, nobody even touching the roam game at all. However, when Cyclops do it, they have 3 members playing extremely aggressive. 1 top floor, 1 main stairs, 1 hiding inside of Taylor/Archives on the first floor as well. And Black Dragons, they run out of time essentially, and 2, they don't even have enough tools or people alive to check every single inch of the map because there's no Jackal being brought from them. They played more towards that late stage round execute style, which they love to do, right? Get that diffuser planted. But the issue is, Cyclops, they're not gonna let you do that. Their entire goal with how they play Rainbow Six Siege is to fight you on the first and second step of the round, and ideally for Cyclops, they don't want you to plant. They want the round to end either with you being 1 versus 4 or them being 4 versus 1. It really is that way almost each and every single time, and it's why we see right now there's no real bomb deny from Cyclops in this round either. Smoke's not on the board. Sure, you got the Echo. Sure, you got 2 C4s, but this is clearly a lineup that wants to fight you. Dog and the Alibi. Good weapons, 1.5 scopes with information from the Yokai drones and the Black Eye cameras from Valkyrie. That's how you pair this duo right now, and it's how they're gonna keep fighting against Black Dragons each and every single round.
I just want to say, I love that we see a Sense and a 0 on the board at the same time. This lineup from Black Dragons is very out of the ordinary when you look at the international meta surrounding Bank. Yeah, it might be in the wheelhouse of Black Dragons, but so infrequently do we in North America and in EU see these operators get trotted out. Sense gets brought out for the basement on Bank somewhat. Not frequently, but definitely gets brought out. It's a nice spice, a nice little dash of flavor, if you want to call it that. Never once have I really been sold on what a Sense brings on any of the bomb sites here on Bank. Now, obviously, we're going to see Sense and those gadgets get used on this open area take. Usually it's lockers. Will they be able to obscure whatever execute Black Dragons wants to pull off? Because again, you find BD can go about it the same way that Cyclops did. Break open the door, get into staff, use those roly-poly smoke screens that come equipped with Sense, and get a plant down very quickly. Cyclops obviously have ways to answer back. They have their Evil Eye cams up. They also have 2 Yokais on the board and a bulletproof camera that's being brought by Anaton. Black Dragons will continue their reign of terror in the first moments of a round as Gatorada is gone. A 5v4 for BD. They get yet another opening pick.
Yeah, Black Dragon is not doing any real roam clear here, and I gotta answer back when it comes to Bassetto. That's the Sense off the board now, so smokes are now gone from this lineup. What can they do now to replace what they've lost? Reloading. Talon Shield, there was one available, but that's your flank watch.
Are you a Kendrick Lamar fan? Because damn.
Damn is right.
That sucks for Bassetto. And honestly sucks for us as well, because time and time again, when this operator gets brought, it's nice to see the way that they can influence play. Won't be here in this round whatsoever. And this round in particular has flown by. Black Dragons can surrender the lead and give Cyclops the opportunity to get back. That is a bit embarrassing. Lighting up the shield. Ion sustaining almost mortal wounds, but still continuing onward. Black Dragons now have the advantage back at their fingertips. 30 seconds to go. Patoxy up above, waiting for Black Ray to retake. Reads them like a book. Ion with limited HP will go for the plant. There is nothing that can possibly do serious damage here. No smokes, no nitro cells, nothing. Perez fires back. Down goes Anaton. Suzu in a 1v3. Technically a 1v4. But Perez, man, he is just putting up numbers. Black Dragons get their 5th round. They're 2 away from the very first victory of the day.
They're getting very close. That they are. And the thing is, Ion in that round in particular really did a good job at understanding, okay, the Sense fell off the map, got shut down early. It is now my duty to pick up one of my 2 Talon shields, both of which were used up top of square to hold the flanks of top floor, and make my way down a staircase through an open breach, an open wall, an open door to his right, and somehow with a sliver of HP, he gets through it. He survives. Talon shield sustains as well. He gets enough of an opening for his team and the trade comes out, they get bomb site's presence. It's just Echo alive, no Yokais in pocket, and the recall on the Barry 9 on a medium to long range is not easy to handle, as we saw, and that was enough for Black Dragons to take the round. They're really doing a good job for Black Dragons to take the time that they need, right? They're not rushing through anything. And Cyclops, well, they lost the opening kill. Gatorada on the mute that round fell rather early on, and that really could have been the difference maker for them if he had been alive for a bit longer, or maybe his C4 was available to them in that late stage of the round. Operator-wise, the nuke once again was teased from Patoxy but changed into Nomad instead, so a more conventional attack perhaps, where we play more together with more members on one side. But look again!
Just give the people what they want.
The Sands is being brought, and hopefully this time we can see what Black Dragons wants to do with the Operator, because it was taken away from us last round.
We want to see the Sens.
We do.
CAG might not be able to see if the gadgets go down properly.
Ooh.
There's no way. There's still a default cam.
Surely someone checks it.
Oh, why on earth? This is rogue levels of bad. What are you doing? It's major champions. But
that's shameless, Parker.
major champions. It's still up. Come on.
That's tough.
Anybody do your due diligence. There's a jump out potential for Cyclops right now, and I think they need to make that calculus. Is it worth it? Because getting back into the building is the much greater challenge on Bank. It's a long run.
Yeah, it is. Let's see if Nate drones out this member of CH in the corner. He doesn't. Checks the left, goes to the rotate, doesn't see the member on the right, but Gatorada, well, he shoots the drone, plays it safe, and drops down to the basement instead. Nate now has to wonder, did he leave or is he sticking around because he's alone?
Okay, this is your jump out potential right now. Look at there. There's 3 players from Black Dragons, and all of them are vulnerable to a single run out or any type of presence. But the one good thing that Black Dragons has going is they have isolated any of the defenders over by the windows, and Bassetto tucked into the corner, going for the plant, shut down Black Ray the first kill, but it's our very first trade of the matchup, and a frenzy will unfold inside of the bomb site. Both teams emerging with 3 players still in good spirits and good health. Gatorada, the only one who's taking a little bit of damage. Anaton stops Ion as he hops in through the window. Suddenly Black Dragons are the ones on their back heel. They can move to match point if they manage to find these last 3 players. But they have the much harder job as they are on attack, and there will still be intel up. There's still default cams, there's still yokais, there's still bulletproof cameras for Cyclops. Black Dragons now have a minute at a 2v2 and Gatorada at half HP to pull this off. And it's entirely possible that Black Dragons can do it, but not if you're going to be shooting like that. Perez missing a golden opportunity to eliminate Gatorada. Now it's Patoxy, 5 kills, 5 deaths. 5 rounds for Black Dragons. Good patience right now, just being shown by Patoxy, using what secondary gadgetry is available. Cyclops don't need to move an inch. Yokais are still present for Cyclops, so you've got the dead players still calling. That makes it significantly more challenging as Patoxy looks for an opening. If you're waiting for Cyclops to make a mistake, you're not going to find it, because so far, they're not giving it to you whatsoever. Look to the left, look to the right. Beautiful. Just a tiny bit of intel done, and that is a stalwart defense from Cyclops to keep this game close. 4 rounds for Cyclops, 5 for Black Dragons. We're going into the depths of Bank.
Really good discipline from Cyclops in that 1 versus 2. That's an area that they've massively improved upon in the last 9 months, give or take, because when we used to see them at the international level, they would get into those, oh, this is super winnable, and then somehow throw the 1 versus 2, or 2 versus 1 rather, but in that instance, it was a good crossfire. When one member got the engagement, the other member swung. That's exactly how you want to use the numbers advantage against your opponent, and what happened in that round was actually really spectacular. The sense was used to cut the bomb set in half in CEO. Planter goes deep throughout the building, Yokai drone comes on in, but the Yokai, it gets the information of where the plant is going down, and then it gets C4'd by another member from CAG. But even though that happened, the information was shared, so you could shoot through the smoke, kill the Planter of Bassetto, and then all havoc breaks loose. It's a trade 2 for 2, leaving us in that 3 versus 3. But as you mentioned, Parker, the defenders have the advantage because the bomb did not successfully get planted, and now you gotta pick up the pieces where only some members of the attacking side are inside the building and others are simply still outside, unable to really help. And that brings this match closer. 4-5 in scoreline. Black Dragons still in the lead, but not really finding success on their attacking side so far. They got a round, but they need 2 more.
Did you say they got around her?
They got around.
Got around.
Got around.
It was a poor attempt at a joke, but we're still
early.
It's still early. We're still acclimating here. Shaking off the jet lag. You and I also haven't casted in almost.
It's been a bit because NAL ended early.
That is correct. We, like North America at most events, we finished early and went home.
Oh, good one.
It's not even a North American team playing in this match.
No, it's not.
There is a North American team that's playing at the moment. If you have somehow stumbled on over to this stream, we'd like to remind you that on the main Rainbow Six channel, you have both Sonics and M&M Gaming doing battle on Chalet at the moment. And as was pointed out to us behind the scenes, M&M have never lost Chalet ever since their inception as a team. That's a heady task for Sonics.
Well, they did start playing at 10 a.m., which also is their kryptonite, so...
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
They don't have the best track record when they play early in the day.
Sonics team giving its first international showing with that new roster after Super retired from the team. We'll focus on that afterwards, though. If there's a conclusion, we'll let you know. The top performer from Black Dragons is no more. Perez removed from action, and, well, the grave gets a bit deeper as there's a second body thrown in of Nade. Black Dragons suffering casualties as they walk into the building and are immediately shown the door. Patoxy trying to keep things as close as he can. And it's an on the roam. Found, punished. The Black Dragons still have plenty of time, a minute to go. The Nook finally being brought out. That was Patoxy involved in that first engagement. Ion getting droned in from above. Hatches will need to be opened up. They still have a thermite with 2 exothermic charges. Additionally, Patoxy has 2 of those secondary can openers, the Heart Breach gadgets from Nook. So you can still get a decent amount of Heart Breach done on this map.
You can, but with the time only being 40 seconds, you're kind of limited to a hatch, drop, execute. You can't go servers, take that control, and breach the walls. And Thermite also used all these exothermic charges already, so it's gonna be a backside slash hatch execute, and you're playing 3 versus 4. That's not in your favor at all.
Ion walking his way down the stairs. The rubber meets the road for Black Dragons here. Their lead could be squandered. Struggling on attack, just as Cyclops did before them. A defender-sided bank shaping up. Will the trend line be broken? Basetto dropping on in. Worried about the Nitro Sally. Heard it. It goes off at his feet. Wrong direction. Takes out Suzu. Patoxy is down. Basetto will need to clutch. If not, it's a tie game. Gatorado will send us to all 12 rounds as he gives Cyclops their 5th. Suddenly, just like that, things have closed up. And Cyclops, after winning 2 in a row and 3 of the last 4, they'll be the ones to call the timeout.
Yeah, I actually think this makes sense, and I'll explain why. Cyclops, they just successfully defended CEO into basement. And then now they're gonna go to open area most likely, or consider going Archives Tillers. If they go for open area, they gotta figure out what went wrong last time, because that's where Black Dragons found their only attacking victory so far since the side swap, and that would put them to match point. Then CAG would need to force overtime. We all know how that goes. The other side of the story is perhaps the coach and the players want to discuss the possibility of going Tillers Archives, a very, very weak bomb site statistically, one of the weakest in the entire game of Rainbow Six Siege. If you are to go to Archives Tellers, you need a pocket strat very specifically tailored for success. Often that means a mirror or an extended roam up above, or playing a certain playstyle like playing really, really aggressive, or playing for time. But you need to be on the same page with all 5 members, because otherwise this bomb set falls apart. And they did actually hover Archives Tellers for the last 10 seconds, but they did change it to open area at the tail end instead. So a bit of a tease there again. So now we're on familiar ground. The same operator lineup as the last time we saw this. The Mute, Wamai, Echo, Alibi, and Doc versus both the Zero and the Sense and the Ossa from Black Dragons. So both teams believe in the strat they brought the previous time, but they both want a kind of different result. Sure, Black Dragons came out the victor, but they didn't like how things started, right? They lost Basetto on the Sense early, then Ion had to pick up the pieces with the Talon shields instead on Ossa. So even though they won, Black Dragons, they want their execute to go differently, and for certain members to stay alive for longer, to enable that execute to be done correctly this time. Whereas CAG, they gotta be able to shut it down, keep members alive, or hold on to the roam game for a bit longer and use that vertical advantage that Black Ray can build for them up inside of CEO.
Very well said. Black Dragons, we talked about their one attack with 0 and with Sens, and they'll do it again. I'll do it again.
Let's do it again.
Haven't seen the most success from Sens just yet. Again, an operator that occupies a very odd space in the meta. A lot of teams, from talking to them in scrims and from talking to teams behind the scenes, a lot of them will say, yeah, that we have good results in scrims. We have an idea. There's a very structured game plan that involves Sens. The problem is that those roly-poly-olies, they have a mind of their own sometimes, and you can't exactly get them to favorably bounce off of the right surfaces. Additionally, some teams just get very aggressive and can take the fight to you. After their timeout, CYCLOPS, staring down this Sens lineup from Black Dragons, have lost Black Ray. The fact that Black Ray, again, I would like to underscore the fact that Black Ray comes in as the statistical best performer in APAC North through the last stage. In terms of kills, in terms of plus minus, in terms of rating, the fact that Black Ray's stats right now are underwater is dreadfully bad for CYCLOPS. But the good news is that if you look at CYCLOPS right now, only a single player on the team has a positive KD, and yet they are still tied against Black Dragons. Why is that? Because on Black Dragons, you've got Perez.
Yeah.
Perez right now sitting at 16-5, has stolen round after round away from CYCLOPS. You can do it again. A 4K happened for Perez on this exact bomb site, open area. Lightning can strike twice. It's happened before. But the good news for Black Dragons is the supporting cast seems to be waking up.
Downside though, as Maceto fell once again early on, sends off the button. Iron falls next to two most important operators for the bomb site executed. 50 seconds to spare. Sure, you lost Black Ray, you lost CO control early. Anitin had to retake that position, but the bomb site now actually is rather defendable, but there's no one there.
Maceto obviously on that Sens, dying early both of these times. You never get to see what that gadget can do on this open area execute. 3v3 now with 30 seconds remaining. Black Dragons tantalizingly close to the bomb site. There's still some reinforcements from CAG in terms of that Yokai. Anitin and Gatorada are in. Nade has the diffuser escorted into the bomb site. We'll hear an air jab go off. The fourth man for Black Dragons is the Yokai. Nade will go for the plant, but gets pressured from over towards blue stairs. It's a joint effort. CYCLOPS, they didn't look mighty good at the start of the round, Nick.
Nope.
But they go to match point, and for the first time all game, CYCLOPS has the lead.
Yeah, I mean, look at that final 1 versus 3. Again, the discipline and the teamwork from CYCLOPS. Yokai drone active on the ground. One member on side, swinging as the server stairs member swings as well. Every single person is taking the fight together to utilize the man advantage. And it started off rough with Black Ray getting shut down early inside of CEO. But then Black Dragons, they really lost it when the scent fell. There's no easy way into the bomb site, and then it's like picking up the pieces and, well, the Osa also died second. Paris with 16 kills, you mentioned Parker, really doing all the work on the killing side for Black Dragons. In the last 2 to 3 rounds, he hasn't found that much value inside the server, and neither has any of the other members in his stead. That's going to force the final tactical timeout, as CAG called one the previous round. Of course, Black Dragons, they want to guarantee as much as they can to take this to overtime. They do not want to lose 5 to 7. We gotta go the distance if Black Dragons wants to take this.
We're not going to spoil what happened in the other matchup of this group. In terms of Group A, you have these two combatants in both CYCLOPS and Black Dragons. You also have Sonics and M&M. They played on the other channel. The matchup is over, and we don't want to spoil it for you. We'll actively go out of our way to obfuscate results in the other matchups so that you can find it yourself. This is especially important for those that like to watch this content back on VODs. We go out of our way to try and avoid spoilers of matches playing at the same time. Unfortunately, if you're watching this matchup after the day is concluded, we will be talking as the day goes on about results that have already happened, and we cannot stop spoilers. I apologize in advance because I know a lot of you simply don't have the ability to wake up at the time zone that we are currently in here in Central Europe. Well, that being the time zone. I wouldn't call Sweden Central Europe.
No,
it's just,
not quite.
That's the time zone.
Yeah.
For those of you confused. Either way, we're not going to talk about what happened in the M&M SQ game, but obviously there are implications here.
Yeah.
if CAG comes out with a victory, that puts them in excellent position moving forward. Now, obviously, CAG are the #1 seed in this group. They top APAC North. They're going up against teams that showed, I would say, some greater weaknesses in their interregional play. Black Dragons obviously coming in as the lowest seed out of Brazil.
Yep.
Should not, theoretically, be as competitive as the #1 seed of another region, but we have quite a great deal of parity right now in Rainbow Six Esports. And again, this is a semi-favorable map for both of these teams, even if the nod of preference would probably go to CYCLOPS. CYCLOPS have at least guaranteed themselves overtime, by the way, which is very good for their round differential, and it will net them an advantage if they end up in a similar circumstance to what happened in Mexico.
Yeah. Speaking of CYCLOPS, Anderton is playing Clash on a CEO defense, which on paper it looks two ways. And one way it's like, oh wow, you can move around and the rappel angles are not going to be an annoyance for you. But at the same time, it's one less gun on the board for the defenders. Sure, you get information, but it's how you use that information to play aggressive off. And so far, Anderton just kind of stalling for time. Nothing aggressive being done so far. Half the round has been going already. Petoxy and the Nurk is on a window rappel, so not actively inside the building as of yet. No Valkyrie, no Echo on the board, but Suzuki is bringing out the Warden for flashbangs and any possible smoke grenades.
I just got to hand it to these teams that are bringing OSA as often as they are. The application of the Talon Shields to essentially move your beachhead farther and farther away from the entry point and closer to the bomb site is excellent. And excellency has been the name of the game for Perez. Finds the first kill for Black Dragons. Overtime looking more likely than it did moments ago. Still, tackling that clash might be the issue. Putting the shield away and taking matters into their own hands, it's Aniton, the gun down Ion, the very first pick for CAG. Black Ray finally getting something going, looking to get out from the basement. Paceto now downed as well. CYCLOPS had surrendered that first pick, and yet here they are with the upper hand against BD. But Perez is still in play, and as long as he's there, Black Dragons is still very much in this matchup. Deep enough back. 20 kills possible if Perez can get the picks on Nasuzu and Aniton, but there's a shield in his way. Nade walking in, surveying the wreckage, can't find anything just yet. Capitalizing on Nasuzu. It's Aniton between a rock and a hard place, and he gets out-dueled by Perez. Black Dragons denying the regulation win for CAG for now. They could deny CAG a win, period, depending on what happens as we now go into the bowels of overtime.
And the good thing if you're Black Dragons is that you start on defense in overtime, where you had more success than on your attack. Remember, it was a 4-2 split on both sides of Black Dragons. They had 4 defenses, then they had 2 attacks. So, of course, same story for CYCLOPS as well. Both teams really favor the defending side. So, of course, if you get 2 of those, if you were to go all 3 rounds, Black Dragons in a favorable spot. And what they're showing right now in basement is music to my ears, because they played really passive both times when they played the basement bomb side previously, and now they're showing Mossy, Vigil, Oryx, and a Valkyrie. They can just put Paceto on smoke single-handedly on the bomb side, and then have 4 members roaming if that's what they want to do. The Toxic Babes are gonna stall out in case of a bomb side rush. The 3 members can play aggressively while you still have those Valkyrie cameras to grant you information to work off of. The Mossy is gonna slow down the attacking information game, and she can either slow down drones or capture them and stop them entirely. So CAG's answer, are they gonna go for a straight server push? Will they go for garage, or will they go for a roam clear? Well, they got the Nuke and they got the Dokkaebi, so they really have either option to work with, but there's no Jackal being brought from them, so the roam clear focus is not going to be as gadget-centric, but more teamwork, coordination-based with those drones.
Now, it might seem like an entirely different game the last time that we saw Black Dragons defend this particular bomb site. For those of you that need a refresher, those of you that weren't here for rounds 1 and 4, Black Dragons came out on top of this bomb site both times that they defended it.
Yes.
And the real focus of that round was CAG's inability to flush out the player from Black Dragons playing on blue stairs. Now, CAG surrendered the first pick in both of those rounds. They've done so again. 3rd time's a charm.
Yeah.
Gator is down, so it might not be the same. But Black Dragons are just running riot over top of CYCLOPS right now. 3 picks within the first minute of action, completely shutting down CAG as they attempt to get into the building. As dire straits, Black Ray and Suzu were the only two players still left standing. They managed to find one. So much more to be done, though.
So much more. I mean, right now for Black Dragons, they could just theoretically go back towards the bomb side and hide in the corner and then make CAG work for it. Or they can just stick around on their own because they are comfortable with the man advantage. But either way, changing up the pace and playing really aggressive after a rather defensive first half on defense is a really good approach to Rainbow Six Siege because it's going to catch your opponents off guard and they're not going to have any experience in the server directly about how you were to play that. So we're not expecting this kind of aggression from Black Dragons. Paris, he's got his 20th kill, by the way, on the board. Great opening game for him as an individual. But this round is Black Dragons, all 5 members really playing their roles and all of them getting great value on the round.
It's a minute now that's been worn down here. Look at Perez, 20 kills. It's a disappearing act. No!
Wait, what?
Suzu just saw him! You need to capitalize off of this, and there you go. Well, there's backup. Black Dragons working in tandem, holding this area from above. Black Ray in a 1v3 becomes a 1v2 on a nice shot on a Patoxy. A sixth sense, it seems like, for Black Ray on that pick. Still trying to find a way to get positive on that scoreboard. A way back into this match for the top player. But he's got a beat on one of them, can't do any damage. Sustains some in the process. Basetto not dead on that engagement. The smoke to obscure down on the ground. Black Ray is in, but it's the shotgun blast from Basetto. It's Black Dragons now on match point.
It's a nice try. If he got that counter smoke, I mean, he has cover on the chassis. He has about 10 seconds left to go. He's got options, but the shotgun shuts it down. The 1v2s are being played with so much discipline from both sides, and they're really playing down the time. CYCLOPS got overrun on the initial roam clear. Now, of course, because we are in overtime, we will be swapping sides each and every single round. CAG goes in defense, Black Dragons goes in attack, and we will be going back downstairs to the basement lockers bomb site once more. And CYCLOPS, unironically, also looking like they're going to change their approach, playing a more passive basement. We got the Goyo canisters like they did the last time. Of course, Suzuki on that Echo has been a stable pick for them every single round. Gatorada, last time on basement, was roaming out of Akav's tellers, stayed live for so long, and the roam clear for Black Dragons really was a problem for them.
Now, in terms of the way that these bomb sites have played out, things look a bit troubling for CYCLOPS. And the reason for that is that this downstairs bomb site of lockers and CCTV has been played 5 times, as we just saw that 5th time that just transpired. All 5 of those times have been won by the defenders. Doesn't matter if it's Black Dragons, doesn't matter if it's CYCLOPS. This is a bomb site that the defense excels on. Now, it's entirely possible that Black Dragons manages to break that streak, but let's say that they don't break that streak. Let's say we do go to round number 15. The bomb site that Black Dragons will almost certainly go to is that top floor bomb site upstairs in CEO and conference room. And why is that? Because it, just like this bottom floor bomb site, has not been lost by Black Dragons. They were wholly unsuccessful on their defenses on open area, so Black Dragons will likely go back to CEO. CYCLOPS need to mentally prepare for that throughout this round because they don't have a timeout. They can't stop it. The moment that this is done, if CYCLOPS prevails, they have to pivot towards pulling off something they haven't been able to do on the 2 attempts, which is win that top floor. Black Dragons are in an excellent spot to close out this match right now, irrespective of what happens in this round.
I had to agree with you. CAG, they gotta show up now more than ever. Minute on the clock has been burned. Patoxy on the nuke here can get some great value from the lobby entrance point because cameras are not going to see the nuke at all. So if you play the gadget correctly, the timings, and you get information, you can easily get a backstab kill here. That'll be huge for Black Dragons to kind of put a thorn in the side of the roam game from CAG. You do see those Black Eye Valkyrie cameras everywhere across the map. Default cams being watched as well. Ion is on the IQ but not able to use the scanner because we're actively fighting enemies. Vertical destruction and horizontal fighting as well. He finds one.
Well, that's a good start for Black Dragons, and things will continue to get better. Ion fishing. He comes home with at least 2 so far, and a nice catch. Down goes Anaton. Anaton has been the best player for CAG on the battlefield. Saving grace for him He's still got those black eye cams at his disposal. Black Dragons are just demolishing this Japanese team of Cyclops right now as Perez gets in on it as well. Why not continue to go upwards? 21 kills for Perez's very first international match ever. Really incredible stuff for Black Dragons. And an impressive showing, but a less so impressive read on the stairs, punished by Black Ray. Again, Black Ray still not positive. We're going to continue to focus on this because in APAC North, Black Ray was a plus 34.
Yeah.
The highest margin of any of the players has not shown up for his team, has been swiftly shut down by better guns on Black Dragons than maybe he's used to dealing with in Japan. Either way, Cyclops staring down the barrel of defeat. Suzu in a very ugly gun battle. It's Black Ray to get to that positiveness that he needs. But positivity doesn't win you matches. Kills do. Black Dragons finds them all. And with the skeleton key in hand, they walk it down. 8-6 for the Brazilian team as they win their very first matchup here in Sweden.
But they made Cyclops fight for it and work for it indeed. And that really shows how close Group A might end up being, where some people, fans speculating, who's going to come out on top? Well, we don't know because it is so close, even in our very first matchup between these two teams.
I mean, this is peak Cyclops. Comes so close.
Yep.
And then ultimately fall off in the end. For APAC fans, this is a very familiar refrain. You know this story. Black Dragons wins their very first matchup on international soil with this roster. An impressive debut for them, a more impressive debut for Perez. But either way, that's it for game number one. We're going to break it down for you, and then we're going to get on with the matches because we got a long day ahead of us, and we don't want to keep you waiting. Toss to a break. We'll come back in just a couple minutes. Sit tight. All right, our very first matchup is in the books. We had an APAC versus Brazil brawl.
Yeah.
And it came down to the wire. Almost the wire, to be fair. We had all but a single round that was used. Black Dragons coming out on top, 8-6. The only loss that CAG had in Stage 3 for APAC North was the same scoreline, and it was against a team that is here in Jönköping, and that's Sandbox. So I mean, they seem to know this scoreline quite well. Either way, Black Dragons, quite impressive in the way that they were able to dismantle some of the things that CAG threw at them. Did anything really stand out to you?
I really liked how Black Dragons had multiple ways to go around the map, right? We often see teams go really easy in the beginning of a tournament, kind of like hide their strats, if you will. They attacked the same bomb site on open area like 3 different ways. They approached it quite well, whether it's like adding an Ossa, first time it was just the Sense and the Zero. Next time, Ossa gets brought out as well. And they kind of build upon their foundations. I like how they can play aggressive but also passive. We saw that once overtime kicked in. It was a much more aggressive Black Dragons team than in regulation. And it really worked to their favor, and I think it was one of the big staple points for why they overcame Cyclops, because they could change their play style and catch them off guard.
Absolutely. Lots of highlight plays for you as they're now on your screen, brought to you by Predator. The standout performer for me and for just about everybody
Easy.
who watched. His very first international event. And it's Perez to come in, walking out of this matchup with 21 kills. That is a real, that's the spoils of war for a player who hasn't competed at this level for that long. And again, this Black Dragons team is the inverse of CYCLOPS. This whole CYCLOPS core has been around for years and have competed in international events for years with this exact same roster. Ultimately, victory has eluded them more often than not, but you still got an experienced team, the opposite for Black Dragons. The most experienced player on Black Dragons is Ion, who used to play on that FaZe squad way back in the day, who's competed internationally before. The rest of the team are very green, but it doesn't matter because we've seen teams with very limited experience come in and do quite well. The one that always jumps out to me, of course, is always going to be Empire.
Yeah.
No longer Empire, completely different team now, but they came in out of nowhere, first international event, they win in Milan, they finish quite strongly in SI. With that Dan roster, they end up winning Milan, and then they end up winning Raleigh shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Again, new teams can make some serious noise, and boy, did Black Dragons ever do that, beating a pretty historic squad in CYCLOPS.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Black Dragons will continue to develop throughout this tournament, because as they keep succeeding, if that's the case, teams will look out for them, right? They'll study their games that are very recent at this event, to look at exact data of how they performed, and then they can kind of counter that or look into how they develop their strategies. And then that's my question mark for Black Dragons. How deep are their stat books, right? How far can they go, or is it an early showing of success and then they falter?
Well, there's another matchup today from this group, in case you're curious. In fact, 2 more matchups, as these teams will be back in action much later on, so they're going to have a bit of a break. But for Group A, you've also got Sonics and M&M in here. And now this is when I say spoilers inbound, because here's what we look at for the groups. M&M Gaming making pretty short work of the Sonics in the very first matchup. On the other stream, the main stream, defeating them by a pretty lopsided margin of 7-3. And M&M at one point were up, I think 4-0 or 5-0. I was trying to keep tabs on exactly what their scoreline was. Well, not detracting from the actual matchup that we were focusing on. Now, CYCLOPS will be in action later today against M&M. So you've got a team that lost in overtime versus a team that bulldozed their way to a victory. And then you've got Black Dragons going up against the Sonics. This is where you start to get into troubling situations for these teams. If Sonics ends the day 0-2 with the way that this group is looking, with M&M doing well, CYCLOPS picking up a point, Black Dragons getting 2 points, the Sonics can find themselves in a very deep hole very quickly. And I know that there's still 4 more matches to be played outside of today. You've got both Tuesday and you got Wednesday. But Sonics ending the day 0-2 is not necessarily the kiss of death. But it's really challenging when you look at the way that these teams play and you look at the matchups today to see if they're going to be able to pull it back in and make it out of this group. And for CYCLOPS, they're going to be looking for revenge against M&M. M&M seem to be quite warmed up, and they're not going to be playing at 10 a.m. So who knows how they're going to do. That's it for us. We got another matchup in just a couple minutes. Wolves versus Mirage is next here on the B stream. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Don't